Today, the Council of Baptist Pastors of Detroit and vicinity will be hosting Governor Snyder. We're standing for democracy, and we're going to continue to hold Governor Snyder accountable to those standards. We believe that Public Act 4 is anti-democratic. We believe that these voter suppression bills are anti-democratic, and we're going to be calling on the governor to veto the voter suppression laws.
Which bills are those?
It's SB 702.
Oh, this is okay. Okay. You're calling on him to veto those?
Yep, veto the voter suppression laws. We're standing against the voter suppression laws.
Okay. So what element in the Council of Baptist Pastors is sponsoring this, do you know?
I don't know if it's an element per se, but I do know that all of the governors and pastors came and visited the Council of Baptist Pastors.
Right.
And all of the mayors that passed, no matter how you feel about them, that came to visit the Council of Baptist.
Okay, so is this the church that he's supposed to be at down there? Or?
No, the church is a block down.
Oh, what's the name of the church?
Bethel Baptist Church.
And who's the pastor there?
Michael Owens.
Michael Owens?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the whole state itself. If you help the city, you'll help the state. And that's about the bottom line. I know that the government helps the state when they go in debt. Why not they just make that riffle on down to the city without all this poverty? And this I just don't understand why it's not there. I've never heard of anything like this as long as I've been on this earth, 63 years.
You and me at the same time.
my prayers is really for everyone. I'm only looking at all the children. We got schools in bad shape. We should be putting more money in the schools to lift up what they have. The system's always been here. So why not just, put money in that instead of creating something, and going new when the old system worked. It just takes money. And that's my comment.
And Governor Snyder is trying to take away our civil rights. We're here to make sure that everybody exercises their civil rights.
Do you feel that the Council of Baptist Pastors shouldn't have had him here? Or?
I just think that he's taken a lot of nerve in coming down here asking for help, because he's going against our civil rights.
There's a couple things in Silent March. I was used to
address. No bread. No bread. He was right, man. Everything you said. No bread. 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 No bread, no bread. No bread, no bread. No bread card, 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 no bread. Say what? No bread card, no bread. What? No bread card, no bread. Say what? No bread card, no bread. Say what? No bread card, no bread. What? No bread card, no bread. Say what? No bread card, no bread. Say what? No bread card, no bread. No. Snyder is the bullet. Snyder is the bullet. Snyder is the bullet. Snyder is the bullet. card, no bread. No bread. No bridge card, no bread. No bridge card, no bread. No bridge card, no bread.
My name is Dewan Smith. I'm here for the Marcus Garvey, the new Marcus Garvey movement, Black Panther Party. I'm here representing the young black youth of Detroit. I'm 22-year-old myself. The governor said, you know, we have people our age group moving, younger kids, 5 and 9 years old, moving out the city. And you have kids, you have adults, 25 and 30, moving out the city also. Myself, I want to move out the city. I want to leave Detroit. It's not a good place. But after hearing them speak, after being part of this movement, I feel like it could be changed. And it starts with the youth, like the governor said himself. And with the youth, what we need is tangible guidance. You know, it's a lot of misguided people around here, and word can only go so far, especially in these communities where word is bond. So, word is bond, action is everything to me. If you want to help grow Detroit, if you want to start with the youth, you start with the seeds. Tend to your garden. You know, guide the youth. Help us grow. You know, help us be the people that we are, so we can make the city better, so we can work and fill those jobs.
Number one, we don't need a new bridge. Traffic is down on the bridge since 911. It's backed up because people gotta have birth certificates, passports and all. That's backed up the traffic. We don't need a new bridge. What we need is the $224 million Lansing owes Detroit. What we need is these poor women with 3 kids being thrown off cash assistance every month to be restored. They're being forced out in the street to be homeless. You got the Public Act 4 super dictator law over all the majority cities. It's an outrage. He's the worst governor we've ever had, and he's got to go.
There's also an issue of considering the governor might sign people are calling voter suppression.
Oh, no doubt.
Require identification.
Look, all of that is anti-minority, anti-black, anti-urban, anti-poor. They don't want us to vote. That's part of the whole thing of Public Act 4. Emergency managers, super dictators, forcing municipalities into decent agreements. All that's part of voter suppression, as well as the right-wing laws that's up there getting ready to be signed soon by this governor. Voter suppression.
Sure. Okay.
Slick Rick! Say no to 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 Slick Rick! Say no.
Greetings to President Owens.
Pay us our money. 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 No free card, no free. 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 No free card, no free.
Let me ask you if you intend to do that again.
No, sir, we're done.
You're done? Because if it happens again, I'm going to ask the authorities to escort you out.
But that, you have to do what you have to do. We did what we had to do. We're done. Thank you. No disrespect meant to you.
Disrespect taken. But if it happens again, you will will be escorted out.
Greetings, President Owen. Greetings to First Vice President Glass. Greetings to Second Vice President Coleman. And I also want to express my thanks to Reverend George for that introduction. It's an honor to be here today. I've had the opportunity to be here in the past, but this is another opportunity to share some thoughts with you, but to hear your issues and concerns. So a big part of it is about having a good discussion. What I'd like to start with is raising some concerns about the city. The state of Michigan is the comeback state of the United States right now. They're coming back. We're coming back as a state faster than the rest of the United States. Our unemployment's getting better, our personal income. But the challenge is the city of Detroit is not participating in that the way I believe it should. And the question is how do we make sure while we're reinventing the state of Michigan, we also have the opportunity to reinvent the city of Detroit. For the long-term success of the city of Michigan, it's critical that we have a successful Detroit. Now, one of the great challenges is people tend to talk about the problems all the time. And these are serious problems we have in the city. My goal is not to run the city of Detroit, but to be a supporting partner. To support the people of Detroit in terms of being successful, bringing the city back. Now, if you look at the challenges of Detroit, one of the things we need to focus on, instead of simply talking about the problems, are what's the solution? And a long-term solution to Detroit is relatively straightforward, but we don't talk about it enough. The long-term solution to Detroit is we have to grow the city. If you step back and wonder how many of these things came about, there are many reasons it came about. The simple fact is if you go back to 1950, Detroit had over 1.8 million people. Today, it has somewhere around 700,000 people. It's lost more than half its population. It's lost over 1 million people in the last 60 years. And the trend over the last 10 years is not a good one. If you look beyond just the simple people leaving the city, look at what age groups are leaving the city. The fastest declining groups in the city of Detroit are kids between the age of 5 and 9 and young adults between 25 and 30. That's the future of Detroit. While Detroit declined 25% to 30%, they're leaving at the rate of a decline of 40%. We have to grow the city of Detroit. It's that simple. When we grow the city of Detroit, certain things need to happen. And some of these are the difficult issues we face, but they need to be done in the context of a positive answer. Not about making things less bad, but how do we make things good in Detroit? And the drivers there at the city level is we need to get to financial stability. The city is not sustainable as a government today. It needs to be financially stable. And from a stable base, it can grow again. We need to solve those issues and problems. The second key thing is we need better services for the citizens of Detroit to make it a place that people want to stay and people want to come to. One thing I want to give you as food for thought and then open it up for questions from the pastors is one thing that I believe that's been missing too often is what is the vision for the city of Detroit? Long term, what does the city of Detroit look like? And I'm not here to do that. That should come from the city. But I wanted to share 4 thoughts with you that I believe these are things that the city of Detroit should embrace as part of a vision for the city. And I encourage you to have a discussion with the city government and all Detroiters about a positive vision for Detroit. Because again, you solve a problem by looking to where you want to end up, a bright future. Not simply saying, how do you stop things from becoming worse? The 4 attributes. The first one is Detroit has to be a place of jobs. And Detroit needs to be a place known for making things. That's what made Detroit great before. Detroit was the wealthiest city in the United States in the 1900s at one point. It did that because it made goods for the rest of America, for the rest of the world. So the first thing is we need made in Detroit as a theme. We need to manufacture products. We can grow products. We can have ideas come about that are sold around the country and the world. Detroit needs to be a beacon again of where the best products in the world are made, and people want to buy them all over our country. So that's where trade is important. It's about exporting things we build here, whether it be to other parts of Michigan, other states, or other countries. The second thing we need to do is we need to do a better job of embracing our young people, of making Detroit a magnet for young people. Some of those things are going on. Young people are moving to Detroit, in the midtown, downtown area, but that's not good enough. It's a great start. We need to encourage that. We need to foster that. We want to see more of that happen. So we need more housing in those parts of Detroit, but we need to have it so also the kids in the neighborhood have that opportunity and want to be here. The third thing we need to do is about the neighborhoods. This cannot simply be about downtown areas, midtown areas, riverfronts. We need a Detroit where people can raise their family safely, where they can have an education. The goal should be is, can't we have a situation where there are neighborhoods where parents want to see their kids stay, and then those kids have grandkids, and so those grandparents can see their kids and their grandkids in that same neighborhood, living and thriving together. The final one is we need to do a better job of communicating and marketing together. But we need to do that in a fashion where we show we're a team working together. The rest of the country is too used to looking at Detroit as a place where people are fighting with one another. And that doesn't solve the problem. The thing we need to do is show that people are working together as a team, that we're solving problems as a team with relentless positive action, no blame, no credit, just simply solve the problem. And then be proud of it. Because one problem, as we progress, and we will make progress on these problems. But people won't believe that or understand that for 5 or 10 years after it's done. If we don't get out and tell people that there's a new Detroit, a reinvented Detroit along with a reinvented Michigan. And we present ourselves as a real team, and that will draw attention. Because people would not be used to that. And that would carry a strong, powerful message to not only people in this country, but across the world. So those are 4 things. So one of the things I wanted to share with you today is Michigan's doing well, but Detroit is not participating the way I would like. And we need to do something about it. Secondly, the state of Michigan is going to continue to try to be the strong, best partner with the city of Detroit. But the city of Detroit needs help to step up and to fulfill their role in working together. And then we need a vision. This cannot be simply, again, about talking about making things less worse. We need something that can develop fire, passion, and excitement. The same fire, passion, and excitement that the pastors here generate every Sunday. We need that passion, fire, and excitement, that positive energy, not just one day a week, but 7 days a week. That's the Detroit we need. That's the Detroit I want to partner with. And so I appreciate the opportunity to share a few thoughts with pastors and the public. And I'd appreciate to hear your questions and concerns so we can have a good dialogue. So thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Governor Snyder, I think it is, first of all, we appreciate you being here and making yourself accessible based on that are important to us rather than have to interpret others on your behalf. I think that one of the issues that is very close to the heart of all of us goes to the core of what we're all fighting for in terms of justice and fairness for all are the Senate bills that are on your desk that speak to mandated change in the requirements for voting. And with the critical elections that before us, we want to know how to fill that legislation so that we can quell the uneasiness that we have about our participation.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a number of bills. There's actually a whole series of bills that I've just been reviewing over the weekend. And I haven't made final decisions on a number of them. Some I think could be reasonable reforms, but there are others that I think have real challenges. Because part of it is I don't want to have legislation that would disenfranchise people, that would discourage people from voting or make it so they would make mistakes in voting so their ballot wouldn't be counted. So I'm going through those, and there are a series, actually about 5+ bills. And so you might find answers on a number of them as I go through this and make a review. But again, that's why I want to hear your comments and thoughts, and so I appreciate you bringing that up. If there are particular issues or problems in them, if you could just follow up and make sure I get the specifics.
Dr. Marks.
Yes, Governor, again, we appreciate and respect the fact that you're here to dialogue with us. And anytime we have a dialogue, it's imperative that we be honest with you. Senate Bill 751, 754, and 803 feels oppressive. These are issues which our ancestors fought very hard to protect and preserve, and that's voting rights. We feel that there is a movement, a national movement, toward curtailing the ability of individuals to vote in order to influence the presidential election. I'm not asking you to defend your party. I know that's not why you're here. But I do want to ask that you give us an answer. Will you sign these bills into law? If you do sign them, then we have to be honest with you. It will have grave ramifications for any type of cooperation that you're seeking with the city of Detroit.
And as I said, please make sure Harvey's getting the bill numbers, because I'll look at them. To put it in context for you, I'm looking at 97 different bills. So
I just want you to focus, Mr. Governor, respectfully, sir. 751, 803, and 754. As a lawyer, these bills just on their face are very oppressive. And I'm really pleading with you, sir, to give it careful consideration. It will impact. You mentioned some very positive things that you want to see happen with Detroit. Partnership, a vision, embracing young people, jobs, neighborhood improvement.
Dr. Marks, we need to hear his voice.
Those are wonderful. I'm only asking that as you consider these bills, think about your goals that you want to accomplish in terms of partnership. It's going to impact your negative.
Give Harvey what your issues with the specifics on those bills, as opposed to just the bill numbers. I would appreciate that.
Is there a timeline that you've given yourself to deal with the corollary issues before you actually make a decision about signing?
Most likely I would be looking to be later this week. So there are a couple of days. But I would appreciate that information today because I'm looking at them on a real-time basis.
Dr. March, you will be principal in crafting our response to the governor's window of opportunity here.
Yes, sir. I can just briefly respond, Mr. President, that these particular issues, Mr. Governor, are requiring additional identification for voters in order for them to be eligible, and the voting registration requirements, imposing additional criteria on that. Those are the specific objections that we have to those bills.
We'll put those in writing. Thank you very much. Your position on the bridge project has gotten quite a bit of attention. I'm sure you'd rather speak for yourself on that than have a commercial speak for you. Dr. Glass, would you like to frame that?
Thank you, Governor. Again, thanks for coming. Question briefly for today, because time is of essence. How do you arrive at the fact that the bridge cost won't cost the taxpayers anything? Could you explain that to us?
Sure, that's relatively straightforward. The Canadian government is going to advance the funds for the Michigan portion of the project. So Canada will be paying for not only the Canadian part of the project, but the Michigan part of the project. And the agreement is written in a fashion where the repayment will come out of bridge tolls. It's also written that if there's any shortfall issues, the government of Canada is responsible for covering those shortfalls. And there is no obligation to Michigan taxpayers. That's why I did not have to go to the Michigan legislature, because I didn't require an appropriation, just to reinforce the fact. That's why I didn't have to go to the Michigan legislature, because there's no obligation of Michigan taxpayers involved. And by the way, I would add, it's a great project because it's about jobs. It's a great opportunity to add jobs in our state and hopefully do some community benefit in Southwest Detroit.
We are living with the aftermath of the state having entered into consent agreement with the city of Detroit. It has, as I have described, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that have to come together properly for it to work effectively and progressively. And I'm going to ask Dr. King if he would craft our issue related to the consent agreement for your response.
One of our major concerns is, again, will you hold back on state resources? Will you hold back on state resources to the city of Detroit if the will of the city is in conflict with your own personal will? Here's the question.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. First, I want to thank the council for being involved when the consent agreement process was going on. I appreciate you participating in the process. But again, it's not my personal will. We did an agreement with the city of Detroit that was entered into by the city. And as a practical matter, I expect the state of Michigan to fulfill their obligations under that agreement. If we said we were going to do something in that agreement, we should do it. I think the same thing should be true of the city of Detroit. If the city of Detroit said they were doing things in agreement they agreed to with us, I expect them to honor the agreement. And if you look at that agreement, it has a number of steps that says these things happen if either side doesn't do their part of the agreement. So this isn't about me deciding to do anything. I'm here to represent all the citizens of the state of Michigan, including the citizens of Detroit. And that was a good faith agreement on both sides, and I expect the agreement to work from both sides. If it doesn't, then we're simply going to follow the agreement and do what it says to do if there's a problem.
Force the agreement.
We want to give deference to our esteemed chair, Dr. Jordan, who's chair of the Political Social Action Committee and helps guide us through some of these waters, has a question on behalf of the council.
I just want to ask this question once and for all. Does the state of Michigan owe the city of Detroit $200 million in revenue share?
Yeah, well, I think the answer is legally it does not. If you ask a legal question. As a practical matter, I've always been open-minded to looking at the topic of how we be supportive, because I believe there might have been agreements. Again, both the supposed agreement and the supposed breaking of the agreement happened before I ever took office. But to the degree there's issues, I'm always going to go back and look. But legally, no, there's not an obligation. I view it as more, how do we do the right thing to help the city of Detroit become successful? And we've worked hard on doing that in terms of coming up with resources for the city. And we're going to continue on that path in terms of additional revenue sharing dollars, in terms of additional opportunities. The main thing is, it's not about spending money in Detroit, nor spending money in Michigan. A lot of money has been spent in Detroit, if you look at the history. And you have not gotten the services you deserve.
Amen.
So the issue is, it's not about spending money, it's about showing results. It's about having lighting, it's about having transit, it's about having public safety, it's about having education. And that's my focus, is not saying it's about more money, but it's about actually having dollars go doing something that's good, that actually shows up with the citizens that improve your lives.
Dr. Sidney Griffin.
So, President, Dr. Owens, Honorable Governor of the state of Michigan, you talk about business is your business. You closed the Mound facility and you're getting ready to close the Ryan facility. Those
Yeah, actually, I gave a public safety message some time ago, and I feel strongly about this. It's about smart justice. It's about a comprehensive solution. There's not just one answer to this question, because it's a very complicated question, but to go through it quickly with you. There are a lot of things we need to do. One of the things we need to do is simply have more law enforcement. So that's why I'm happy to say that we're training, we have started a new state trooper class of 180 troopers over the next few months to give additional support for 4 cities in particular that are among the most dangerous in the country. It's absolutely unacceptable to have 4 of the top 10 cities on the most dangerous list. The next piece is the court system. So we are going to be starting mental health courts in addition to drug courts. Because too often we lock up people that may have a mental health issue, that should be getting counseling, some other help, and not going off to
Will you make
jail.
sure that the signatures are signed? That the signatures are, the 260,000 people signed, will you make sure that Public Act 4 get on the ballot?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Will you make sure that Public Act 4 get on the ballot?
Wow.
Oh, you don't want to answer that question.
Oh.
Public Act 4 too much for you? 260,000 signatures.
Well.
260,000 signatures, Governor Snyder.
What's wrong?
All right.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. Answer. Answer. What? That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's over with. That's wrong. You made a search sheet to tell the truth. You know what? You supposed to be one of these and you're not. That's what I said.
I would have more respect for the governor if the governor would have stood there and said, no, I'm not putting him on there because I don't believe in it, and gave us his reason why. But he's just gonna go to running? How you just start running? You know, this is not a game. People's lives are on the line. Democracy is on the line. Justice is on the line in the state of Michigan. And we are not going to sit by and let some pastors who obviously are in a position to try to take bribes or try to take something from the back room sell us out. We're not going to do it.
Push us back to slavery.
We're not going to do it. Our vote is important. Our democracy is important. He answered nothing about what are you going to do about the money, the $250 million. Well, let me just ask you this. Put the $250 million away. What are you going to do about the parking tickets? What are you going to do about the light bills? What are you going to do about the other stuff, the other money that you owe the city of Detroit? It ain't nothing but a few $1 million, $8 million. They held a gun to Crystal Crittenden's head telling her that she would be fired.
For doing her job.
For doing her job. She would be fired for doing her job.
Dave Bean is a sellout.
Now Dave Bean is trying to fire her. The governor is putting pressure on him. We're not standing for this. And I'm going to tell you that you're only going to see an escalated force of demonstration against the governor until he decides that he is going to answer to the people. 260,000 signatures. What are you going to do? You're going to put it on the ballot? And then going to give me all of that gloss over conversation about, oh, we want to help the kids and help the babies. You want to help the kids and help the babies? Make sure that my kid can vote one day. Make sure that the people who we put in office isn't dismissed because he wants to come in and take over cities and municipalities.
Reverend Williams, I came in late. Could you just recap? Did you get any answers to your questions or more questions from his answers?
The governor did nothing to answer any questions that any of the citizens had, and any of the pastors had. He glossed over every single answer. He gave them answers that were non-sufficient to the community at large, as you see, with no substance at all. If we ask you about $250 million and you say, well, hypothetically yes, but legally no, what does that mean? Yes or no? Can you say yes or can you say no? The governor couldn't say yes or the governor couldn't say no. If we ask you about Public Act 4 and the 260,000 signatures that were signed from the city of Detroit to Traverse City, and you want to just walk away from it, you can't answer that question. But you can talk about saving the babies, and you can talk about turning my lights on. You know nothing about the lights not being on out there in Gettys Glen Road in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But which by the way, you're too good for the public housing that we have to offer for you, so you live. So anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
He's talking the talk, but he ain't walking the walk.
The bottom line is we are preparing for escalated demonstration. This is not over. We are calling the governor not to sign these voter suppression bills. That's the number one. Two, put Public Act 4 on the ballot. You want to be non-divisive? You want to think about all the things we can work together on? Well, those are some of the things we can work together on. Let's work together on making sure everybody's vote counts, and let's work together to make sure that the people's voice can be heard and the democratic process can be taking place with the ballot initiative. Facilitated a gloss-over job in front of the community. When we said Public Act 4, 260,000 signatures, he walked away as fast as he possibly. He went walking in circles trying to figure out the first way he could get out of there.
That wasn't supposed to be out.
When we talked about the voter suppression laws, and we talked about the fact that the voter suppression laws enrages a lot of anger because of its connection to the Voting Rights Act, and because of how African Americans had to fight so hard to get the opportunity to vote. He talked about, well, there's some good things, some bad things. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Make sure you talk to my assistant, and he'll make it, and I'll give you an answer in a week. Oh, which, by the way, we already know you're waiting till Friday because the media will be done calm down by then. You can sign them, and then no one will care about it by Monday.
Why do you think the governor didn't want to answer your question?
I think the governor didn't want to answer the question because the Council of Baptist pastors probably promised him already that he wasn't going to have to answer anything that we didn't already run by you.
Right. And they wasn't ready for it.
And they did not want to answer anything that had it. And in fact, even the questions that he answered, you all were there, even the questions that he asked, right, that the Council of Baptist pastors asked, he did not answer any of these questions directly.
A member of the council said that they felt the voter suppression issues were more important than the issue of PA4. Would you agree with that?
Voter suppression and Public Act 4 go hand in hand. The issues, democracy is democracy. Whether you can vote to put your elected official in place, or whether your elected official can be unilaterally dismissed because the governor may not feel that he believes that the people you elected were good enough. Either or is bad. That's an attack on democracy. The governor is engaged in a specific attack on democracy. As we can see, it's an attack on personal democracy. We see what's going on with women's rights. It's an attack on public democracy. We see what's going on with municipalities and education, public school systems. This is an attack on democracy. We're not going to take this. And as far as standing up in the meeting and asking him a very pointedly question, if he had nothing to, what are you afraid of? Governor Snyder, what are you afraid of? What are you running from? What are you running for? Why are you running from 260,000 signatures? That's all we want to know. All we want to know is why are you running from 260,000 signatures?
These are the ones that Greg Bowen has been presenting.
These are the ones that stand up for democracy. We have all put these signatures together. A lot of people out here circulated petitions. You had people who circulated petitions from the UP to Traverse City to Downriver, Monroe, Michigan, and Detroit, Michigan, who believe and who stood up for democracy.
Ballot signatures.
And ballots, 216,000 ballot signatures. This is after heavily scrutiny. This is after no political campaign, no money, no finance, nothing but a pad, a pen, and a signature, and some signatures. Put it on the ballot. Why won't he put it on the ballot?
What are your thoughts on the comments from the governor today?
I think the governor specifically came to the Council of Baptist Pastors for an opportunity to window dress the community and the Council of Baptist Pastors.
That's all it is.
It was an opportunity for him to unite with black folks around him to say, see, I'm not that bad, I'm a nice guy. My question is, why are you running? Why are you running from 260,000 signatures? Why are you running from voter suppression? And why can't you answer a question with a yes or with a no? If we ask you about consent agreement and we ask you about $250 million, legally yes, hypothetically no, I mean, what is the answer? Yes or no? If we ask you about voting rights, which the governor wants to say, well, I got 72 bills on my desk, I don't know. Voter ID has been talked about for the last 2 years. You had a group of people from this group here that marched from Selma to Montgomery to reenact the drastic nature of how we feel about these voter ID bills. How do you think that makes me feel if you tell me, well, I haven't even read through them yet? You know, Governor Snyder is becoming no different than Governor Wallace.
Yeah.
And we're going to fight this. We're going to fight this. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. We're going to keep this going.
If he signs the voter ID bill, as he's saying right now, he's got to read it and take a look at it. If he signs
you can expect escalated demonstration from not just the citizens of Detroit, but from folks around the state of Michigan.
That's right.
If he does anything else to take away democracy, to remove democracy, to dismiss democracy in the state of Michigan, you can expect. If you looked in that room today, you just didn't see black people, you just didn't see preachers, you saw folks from the community, you saw pastors who are just as concerned, and you also saw white folks. So we are all concerned about democracy. This is not a black issue, this is a Michigan issue.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.